Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Tearing It Up podcast. We have an amazing guest today that has made a small appearance on the podcast like years ago. And I don't know how it's taken so long to get her back or why it's taken me so long to get her back on the podcast. Time just flies. But I'm very excited to have her on for a full episode. So we have Jen Gurecki of Coalition Snow and obviously a lot more that we're going to talk about. And she's behind a lot of other things as well. I always forget the name of the nonprofit that you have with in Africa.
Zawadisha.
Sawadisha. I'm like, I don't know if I ever pronounce it correctly, but this woman is behind many things and just a force to be reckoned with. And when I had her on, it was like a short 15-minute compilation episode a couple years ago when I was at the Swell Outdoor Gathering, and I had a few other women on for just a kind of a quick hi, hello intro, what they're doing. But so much has changed since then for Jen, for everybody. And so it'll be exciting to catch up and see what is on the horizon for her, what she's been going through, lots business-wise, personal-wise, and all the things. So we're going to get into a bit of everything here. Jen, will you tell the people where you're actually at physically while we record today?
Sure, I'm in Reno, Nevada.
Love it. Not too far from where Coalition was headquartered. And I forgot to ask you this when we were offline. About 10 years ago or so, did you ever have an office in the mill at Alpine Meadows?
We did. When we first started Coalition, I was living at the lake and we had an office at the mill. And then, as many people decide to leave the lake for Reno, that's what I did. I went to go live in South Africa for a bit and couldn't quite get back into Tahoe. And so I thought, okay, well, I guess I'm going to give Reno a shot, and super happy I did that. And Coalition's been headquartered and based in Reno since then.
Awesome. I asked about the mill because when I moved to Tahoe, I worked at the Crest Cafe, and so I was pretty
Yeah.
sure because I remembered I'd met a couple other gals who worked with you at Coalition who'd come down, and that's when I learned about Coalition and started following you. Loved just how you like used your voice and were putting your stake in the stand out there, especially then, 10, 11 years ago. This was 2000, I guess, 14, 15
Yeah.
winter. And I always had my eye out for jobs. Like I had been in the outdoor industry as a guide before that. Was my most of my experience in the outdoor industry was kayak guiding, zip line guiding, that kind of thing, but not in like the retail or hard goods or any space like that. But I really, really, I'd wanted to work for a brand and get in the outdoor industry. So my eyes were always peeled for like a job with Coalition because I was like, these ladies are badass and they're speaking their mind about it. And like I said, that at that time period, there definitely weren't as many women in the spaces. I mean, there still aren't in the hard goods space at all, but we've seen more apparel companies and things pop up and more brands, speaking publicly about choices and, standing up for things, but it's still never in the way that I feel like that you have. So
Yeah, no, we're quite unique in that way. The snow sports hard goods space has not changed, um, unfortunately. And yeah, Coalition and myself tend to continue to be the most outspoken individuals and businesses in the industry when it comes to anything related to politics, values, identity. We had a good run. Like the industry was doing pretty well after 2020. And then, you just fell out of fashion
Mhm.
to uh, diversity, equity, inclusion fell out of fashion. That's what happened. It wasn't cool anymore. It wasn't a thing that people expected. And a lot of businesses now think that they should be catering to some sort of like MAGA conservative movement, even though that's not really a thing.
Yeah.
So interesting. Can't say I'm sad to be leaving snow sports.
Yeah.
Let's just say that. And for anyone who doesn't know what Coalition is the only women-owned and operated ski and snowboard manufacturer in the world. Uh, I would love to not be the only person who holds that space. I would love to be able to bring someone else, not personally bring someone in, but support and advocate for other women to do this. Although it's certainly a lot to take on. There's a reason why I'm choosing not to run my business anymore.
Yeah, not for the faint of heart, that's for sure, and, obviously, you did it for years, you did it for over a decade, and have also gone through so many other things in life, so if you are familiar with the outdoor industry, I've followed, Coalition or Jen along, you know the news, you've heard the news, if not, Coalition has recently closed its doors, and, um, we're gonna just kinda get right into that. There's gonna be so much more that comes out of this conversation, but a lot of it kinda stems from this decision, but also what led to the decision, and because Jen, you've also been battling breast cancer as of
Mhm,
in, like, less than a year, right, that you were
mhm.
diagnosed in this last past summer, 2025, was it?
Yep.
And I'm sure that has a lot to do with kind of how you came to the decision to move on, I guess is how I kind of look at it, not quit, right? Like, we're gonna dive more into kind of framing that and that word, but we evolve as humans, we change, our wants change, our desires change, especially, I'm assuming, when you are faced with a challenge in life that kinda makes you rethink a lot of other things, like, "Why am I putting this time or effort into something when it's been made really clear to you just how, like, limited time and energy and all that can be?" We've all known and heard that, right? And but until it you really, really feel it to your core, sometimes it just doesn't hit you, the same. So, if you wanna talk a little bit about kinda, yeah, what your journey's been like the last 6 or I guess 8 months or so with your cancer diagnosis and kinda coming to this decision, and feeling a calling for a different kind of purpose.
Well, yeah, I was diagnosed with stage 2 breast cancer after a routine MRI. The mammogram had missed everything, which is why it had spread. So that to open up my chart and see those test results 2 days before I was supposed to get on a flight to Kenya was certainly shocking and disruptive. And my life changed really quickly, really, really fast. I underwent pretty intensive chemo September, October, November into December. So that was very interesting to be running coalition, working through Q4 while going through chemo, losing my hair, my eyebrows, my eyelashes, the fatigue, the nausea, doing all of that. And when you are facing your mortality, like every day I would wake up and I'd look in the mirror and I had no hair. And I looked sick. And when you see yourself like that every day, like it's far more than a challenge, right? Like you're facing your mortality. You are spending a lot of time thinking about your death, thinking about how much time you have left on this earth. None of us know. Like,
Mhm,
I could walk out the door today and get hit by a bus. Like, we don't. None of us know how long we have on this planet. But when you are faced with your mortality, you really start to think about your life in a different way. And for me, I thought about, well, how do I want to spend the last years of my life? Which might sound morbid to some people, but I find it to be quite pragmatic, especially as a woman who's going to be turning 49. It's not like I have so many years ahead of me no matter what, like
mhm.
I'm not 20, I'm not 30. I don't have all of these, decades and decades in front of me to sort of reinvent myself or choose to move in a different direction. And when you take something like a cancer diagnosis and you pair that with the existential crisis that the snow sports industry is facing, which is called climate change. Why in the absolute fuck would I want to spend my last years on this planet like in an industry that is not even prepared to take on that what will be coming down the pipeline because of climate change.
Right.
The mitigation strategies are blowing snow.
Yeah.
Well, good luck with that energy and water since all of it's going to be diverted to AI.
Mhm.
So hope that works out for you. And certainly, I was reading some industry news last week where somebody said, "Well, historically, after a bad year, we'd always have a very good season." Sure, yeah, 20 years ago, bro, but what about, like, we are facing serious issues of climate change, and so when I thought about, like, what is it that I wanna do with the rest of my life, manufacturing hard goods in a seasonal industry plagued by climate change, continued to be run by bros with the price going up and up and up. Really? That's what I'm gonna do? Nope. No,
Yeah.
we're not. I mean, it's so I know that it's and I can speak with it I can speak to it with confidence and lightness because I've processed it, right? Like
Mhm.
I spent all the time going, going through all those feelings of failure and fear and disappointment, and I did all of that, and I did that sort of privately so
Mhm.
that when it was time to speak publicly about it, I could do it in a way where I could certainly speak to my scars, but not lead with my scabs.
Yeah.
And that felt really important, particularly of someone who, I want to continue to have a career and a life in the outdoor industry. I'm not going away. I'm not dead yet.
Yeah.
You know, I just simply don't want to manufacture. And anybody who runs a business knows how difficult things have been. They've continued to get more difficult since the
Mhm.
pandemic. They have not gotten easier. And manufacturing overseas just again, like seasonal industry, increased costs, climate change. I don't need to have I don't need my days to be full of fighting, and quite
Mhm.
honestly, again, when it comes down to a cancer diagnosis, my chances for survival and for not being diagnosed with cancer again are based in part on my ability to manage my stress and to invite ease into my life. I'll tell you, last night my therapist said to me, "You need to take a fucking vacation or you're going to kill yourself." She says she normally doesn't use that kind of language with her clients. And I was like, "Okay, I hear you now. I got it." But, I'm still unlearning a lot of the behaviors and things that really have served me quite well for so many years. There's a reason why Coalition stayed open
Mhm.
for 12 years. It's not that manufacturing is easy. It's not easy for anyone. Certainly not easy for a woman.
Mhm.
Certainly not easy for someone who's not an insider in the industry. But my determination and my ability to problem solve and my perseverance, like, certainly is why Coalition lasted as long as it did. And then when it came down to examining how I want to spend the rest of my life, because again, like before the cancer diagnosis, I didn't think about the end of my life.
Yeah.
I felt like I had all the time in the world to do all the things that I wanted to do. At 40, when I was diagnosed when I was 47 years old, I still felt like I had all the time in the world to do everything. And that diagnosis changed everything. And
Mhm.
and my life feels very short now. And I
Yeah.
think that that is actually a more accurate representation of our time on this planet than how I felt when I was 47, that I have all the time in the world. Life is fast. We're not here very long, and we're a blip. Mm,
Yeah.
So
And I mean, it's like you can exactly what you said, where you're not going anywhere. You're not dead yet. And just because you are moving on from coalition and not going to be producing the hard goods does not mean that you're suddenly going to shut up and not stand behind everything you and coalition stood for, which is, our rights, public lands, getting women out there on the snow or to enjoy those things that they love. Like, I feel you're still absolutely going to be that voice, but you're just not promoting those things with the hard goods, with skis and a snowboard here. But you're absolutely going to stand for everything that was stood for before. And I'm sure have other things in the pipeline of how you're going to do that or what exactly it is that you find, a greater kind of purpose in. And sometimes it's just gotta feel like banging your head against the wall with all the things that are changing and in this world. And as you also mentioned, like the climate change is real, right? And so but there's no way that the snow sports industry or hard goods is, like, gonna evolve with it. You can't just make what? Boards that are better to go down dirt? You could go down sand, you know? So it's like,
Water. Yeah, the
how do you
they're
change with
so much
this? You
smaller.
just don't. Everyone just will
Mhm.
have to go away or, go completely into a different category. Biking, hiking, whatever it is. So, if that's
Well, I
also
mean,
not s
yeah, let me I mean, there's a reason why RMU launched a bike frame last week. There's a reason
I didn't
why.
even see that. Yeah.
Yeah, RMU launched the bike frame. They have their bars. Like, look at any indie ski brand. They have all these extra little things that they're doing, military contracts,
Mhm, mhm.
festivals, all the things. Like, I think there's this perception amongst, people who just ski and snowboard that when you manufacture skis and boards, you're just, pressing skis, testing, mm, photo shoots. Like, it's actually not easy for anyone. And the businesses that will survive will diversify, and they'll diversify far outside of snow. When we think about what the future of snow sports holds, it likely will be much shorter seasons, unpredictable seasons. There will be intense capital required, and resources required to keep ski resorts open. I feel so fortunate being a woman of age at now 48 that I had decades of chasing powder days, that's basically how I lived, my early adult life. Like, I just ski pow as much as I could. And now I feel like the move is quality over quantity. It's about
Mhm.
finding those locations around the world that offer not only incredible skiing, but an incredible cultural experience as well, where we can really take time to reconnect with ourselves and reconnect with the things that matter to us. And unfortunately, waiting in line after you've spent 1,000 fucking dollars on an icon pass ain't it anymore.
Absolutely. I was just talking with my girlfriend last night, like, about just how, sometimes we disassociate because it's so hard and sad to think about the possibility that we may not have these powder days that we used to have and how lucky we did feel that we did get to experience that and enjoy it, but we're so not ready to give it up, And it's just, for people who haven't had that experience on the snow, just hard to believe they'll never get it or, like, don't haven't experienced it. Like, since, like, oh, it's so hard, and I mean, those are feelings for someone who doesn't have a business that's rooted in that. So, if you pile on those things, then it's like, "Oh my god, how do we continue? How do we do this?" And fighting this fight and just against so many things when, again, now you've faced your, like, own mortality, you realize how little time you actually have to do the things that you truly enjoy. Not that you didn't enjoy it, but things that can bring you more joy, more ease,
Yeah.
and purpose, and it seems that it got to that point where it's like, I'm kinda putting a lot more in than maybe I'm getting out, and I
Oh,
think
100%.
yeah.
And again, like, in an industry that, like, we all love skiing and snowboarding, right?
Mhm.
But that's not the same as an industry.
Yeah.
Working in an industry is fundamentally different than being somebody who slides on snow.
Mhm.
And so while sliding on snow is so fun, and also something that isn't necessarily for everyone, like, I missed this season because I was advised by my oncology team to not get out there, primarily because I told them that if it was a powder day, I would not be able to hold myself back, and no, I don't ski groomers. And they were like, "You cannot go out. We don't trust you." So I opted to take the winter off to just try to be a good cancer patient. Turns out it was a good winter to skip.
Yeah.
But I have to tell you, like, I did lots of other things and my life was full.
Mhm.
So while I'm certainly, I'm not ready to give up the feeling of those powder days, I also now have a different perspective that a lot of what we're chasing and a lot of what we might be fighting for is sort of irrelevant to the majority of the world, which is another canary in the coal mine for the industry, right? That there's so many other things that give people joy and
Mhm.
give them purpose. And it's important to not have your identity so wrapped up in just one thing, which is, another reason why I really felt pushed to close coalition was that examination of my ego and my identity in relationship to my business, and understanding that that was something that was actually holding me back from doing other things, whatever those things might be, because I was actually quite comfortable with being Jen, the founder of Coalition, and everything that came along with that. But who would I be without Coalition, without that
Yeah.
name? And while that is certainly scary, and there's a big part of me that feels like I'm going to be irrelevant now, and people aren't going to be interested in what I do, and there's going to be all the whispers behind my back about how I'm a failure, and she couldn't cut it, she couldn't do it, like all those things. There's also like this really incredible feeling about pushing yourself to say, I'm going to get so uncomfortable with not knowing who I am. Like, I literally do not know how to introduce myself
Yeah.
anymore, which is something that I'm learning the more that I'm getting back out into the world, that I'm meant to introduce myself, and I'm like, I did this, thing, and now I don't even have my pitch, I have no idea what to say, but to be in that position where you are creating a whole new future for yourself that's unknown is actually more difficult than staying in the safety of what you know. And in my I felt like I would be absolutely wasting the opportunity and the gift of a cancer diagnosis by going right back to doing the same things and being the same person. Most difficult things that we do in life should be things that change us,
Mhm.
be things that we can alchemize. Like that is where the growth comes. That's where living, like living life comes from, stepping into that place. And I just knew that if I went back to doing what I'd always done, what I went through with the cancer diagnosis, and I mean the chemo, the surgery, like all of it, the grief, the loss, that would have been wasted if I didn't choose to do something different with my life.
Right. I think that's huge. That's something we've talked about on the podcast, kind of a theme, I guess, before of like, and brought up often is how much more we learn from failures and
Yeah.
how much harder it is to like quit this thing. And even to the most, I don't want to say like the simplest terms, but what I can really, that I think resonates with a lot of people is like leaving a relationship, right? And how many more people stay in a relationship, whether it's romantic or just a friendship or something that may not be providing anything for them, any good, may not be positive at all, but it's so much harder to leave because you're gonna hurt someone's feelings, or if it's a romantic relationship, start somewhere fresh, be alone, right? Be alone with yourself. Who are you without this person? Again, it could be a friend that's been in your life forever, a family member or something, and you continue to put yourself kind of through this pain over and over because you're afraid of everything that comes after, about finding yourself again, about starting fresh, about starting new, and quitting a job you might hate, and it has done nothing for you, and you're miserable and stressed all the time, but you're so afraid to be like the new person on the block again. Or what if you can't find something, and just all these questions, right? So we stay in these like vicious toxic cycles for
Mhm.
so long. And there's so many ways that people, I think, can resonate to something like this. It doesn't have to just be like you had a business and you shut it down. I think we've all gone through different things in our lives that
Mhm.
we quit after holding on a little too long or something, and
Far
because
too
it
long.
was the harder choice.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
quitting. I'm reading a book right now about quitting, and one of the things that the author wrote was that quitting at the right time probably feels like quitting too early.
mm,
And when I think about that in relationship to coalition, that's the truth. For years, I have publicly spoken about how difficult the business is, and privately confided in people that I don't know how long I can keep doing this. I don't know if this, like, this business is too difficult. I don't and difficult in a sense, like I want to be really clear. When I say difficult, I don't mean it's hard. I do fucking hard things. I do
Yeah.
hard things all the time. Okay. I started a microcredit organization in Kenya almost 20 years ago that's still in operation with an entire women led team that provides microloans to rural Kenyan women in the last mile. I do hard things. I
Mhm,
know how to it's not that, like,
mhm.
sitting down and working hard every day is not the problem. It's when you sit down every day and you work so hard with almost nothing to fucking show for it,
Right.
right? So, it's I wanna be really clear with people that I'm not advocating for a, like, kick your feet up, life should be easy. That's a privileged approach. Life is very difficult for the global majority. The challenges that we face tend to be pretty superficial
Mhm.
compared to what many people on this planet face on a daily basis. Now, at the hands of this dumb country, with all the wars and the genocide we support, and the absolute terror that we unleash on other people's lives. Um, so, I just want to like I'm an advocate for hard, like
Yeah.
that. I'm a type 2 fun, like, that's my jam. I'm into it. But you get to a certain point where you start like all if all that hard work isn't resulting in what you want, then why the fuck are you doing it?
Yes. Yeah. Exactly, like, there is no reward worth the effort, and,
Yeah.
I mean, I have to think about that often with what I do and not, turning a profit on some things. So I want to do it out of hobby, passion. I care about sharing these stories, getting women out there and whatnot. But there are plenty of times I'm like, well, I do need to put some more energy or focus towards something that I'm getting a little more tangible, like something out
Mhm.
of, or to be okay with like not having to stick to like a crazy schedule or structure because it's what I'm getting out of it is the pleasure and passion and from it, and when I'm not getting that at all, then I need to take a step back and be like, "Okay, like, do I have to do it this way? Maybe I can do it that way." And again, just kinda reframing how I look at things, but, I like I said, I think there's many of us at different intersections of life who've come to this, and what you just said, I feel like, is also something we have to think about. It's not just because we can't do the hard thing. We know as women in this world that most of
We
us have
do hard
done some
things.
hard ass shit. So
That's not what it is.
don't think about it as like, cause I have definitely, you really made me think like, oh my God, you're so fucking right. It's not about like, I'm second guessing myself. Like, do I want to stop because it's hard and I'm just like, want to be lazy? And like, no, that's not it at all. It's just like, it's hard, but without little reward or anything to show for it at all. So like kind of what is the purpose of like pounding your head against this wall for for not a lot? And you just have to think like no, it doesn't mean you are lesser of a person or you want the easy way out by any means, but it's just like your hard can absolutely like could be worth something, should be worth something, and when it's not and you're just like hurting yourself, then it's time to stop. And I'm sure that, it doesn't always have to get to that point for people to be facing literally their own mortality, but sometimes that's what it takes for people to really make those changes in life and figure out what they want. And so I'm curious, first of all, like where are you standing with your health right now, whatever you're willing to share with your cancer diagnosis, and how are things looking with that journey, and where before you decided to close coalition did you have any idea of what might be next?
Yeah. So where I'm at, let's see. Done with chemo, so my hair is growing back. I miss my long curly hair. If I clearly need a new headshot, which is why I joined your wait list.
I saw that. I'm so excited. This will be
Because every photo no longer looks like me, and I'm tired of explaining to people why my photos don't look like me. It's not because I'm a weirdo trying to pass for someone who looks 35,
you're on
but
the dating
because
apps,
just to be
right?
clear, before I was diagnosed with cancer, I was 47 going on 35. Okay, I pulled it off. I was super proud of it. Um, I no longer look like those older photos, and so I need something that's representative of how I look. So I have signed up
Yes.
for the headshots because I desperately need one. But yeah, I'm My hair is growing back. That feels really nice. I feel strong. Um, Surgery is, it's gonna take probably another year to fully recover from that. I had to have 17 lymph nodes removed from my left arm and that is a very serious, intense surgery. So I have to manage lymphedema for the rest of my life. I just have still have a lot of pain. I don't have mobility back, and it's all normal. Like I'm
Mhm.
on track. I see a physical therapist. I'm doing what I need to do, but just yesterday she said it's probably going to be another year till you feel more like yourself. And people say the same thing about recovering from chemo, that it takes years. So I don't really, where am I? I don't know.
Mhm.
I don't like life is I don't know who I am really anymore. I have to figure everything out. All the things, so many things that I used to be able to do, I just simply can't. And
Mhm.
I don't know what that is. Like, is that the trauma from the diagnosis? Is that the chemo? Is it the trauma from the surgery? Is it this, fucking dumpster fire that we live in? Is it the hormone blockers now that I have to take every single day? So women my age are normally taking they're taking estrogen to feel
Right.
normal. Yeah, no, I have positive estrogen receptive cancer, so I'm taking estrogen blockers. So I have hot flashes all the time. They're associated with nausea. Um, I don't know how I will be a cancer patient for years. I'll
Yeah.
have blood drawn every couple months, and they'll compare what's in my blood to that tumor and tell me if I have cancer again. That's
Wow.
what we're doing. So, I'm certainly not celebrating. We are
Yeah.
not I'm not cured. I'm not in remission. I have many, many years ahead of me, and I think that that's something that, I didn't know about this before being diagnosed. So, the reason why I speak to it is to not make anybody feel poorly if
Mhm.
they've made these assumptions, because I made those assumptions, but I think it's helpful to talk about it so that we all know. Um, but as with many things in life, just having a very pragmatic perspective on it, that I'm doing the things my oncology team said to do. I've stopped drinking. I'm have eating more protein. I'm taking my calcium pills. I'm working out. I'm supposed to be managing my stress. I don't know how well I'm doing with that. Um, Turns out it's a fucking lot to close a business and try to launch a new one all at the same time. Um, but yeah, I feel, I owe my life to my gynecologist who ordered the MRI for me, just routine, because I have dense breasts, and anyone who has dense breasts should know that mammograms cannot detect lumps. And
Mhm.
that became so clear to me when I looked at the imaging the first time I met with my oncology team, when they sat down to tell me all about my cancer. When I looked at the imaging from my mammogram and I saw it right next to the imaging from the MRI, and in the mammogram you couldn't see anything, but in the MRI you saw the lump. And I was like, wow, if I wouldn't have gotten that MRI, I would have found out I had cancer once your body starts responding to it. And normally by then, you're not very far away from death.
Right,
So
it's become metastasis, right? Or, like, it's through your whole
it's through
body,
your body.
and everything's, like, literally shutting
Yeah.
down.
So yeah, so that's where I'm at. I also hate the word journey. Cancer
Yes, me too.
ass.
I
Journey my ass. This is not fun. Like it's I just feel like journey makes it sound like um
skipping along,
yeah,
taking
just
a walk.
here
Yeah.
I am.
I've been
Cancer.
sitting here thinking
Sucks.
on the next thing that I was gonna say, and I'm like, "God, I fucking hate this word so much," and I've said it a couple times out of lack of having something else to just, like, what do you say? It's that
You're-
filler, like, word, and I'm just like, "This is not fitting at all,
mhm.
though, because this is not a fun, like, exploration of
No,
life as a cancer patient, you know?"
it's as bad as the word moist. Like
Yeah.
just
Totally.
it's just really
Totally.
bad. But I think that so I want to touch on something. I'm sort of ignoring the second part of your question. I'll get back to it.
Yeah.
I want to touch on something that you said earlier that I think ties into this. I don't have another word for journey. You don't have another word for journey because that's the word that's used.
Mhm.
And so that's what we're familiar with. And earlier you had said something about business, and you personally looking at or evaluating what it is that you're doing and maybe having this guilt that you're not producing enough, you're not releasing enough episodes, and what are you doing? And what we have to remind ourselves is that anyone who's listening, I'm going to air quote this next part. What you're supposed to do is literally created by the framework of capitalism. That
Mm.
is what we're taught, what you're
Mhm.
supposed to do. So having a set cadence and frequency of your podcast and putting out more content and getting more listeners and growing is what capitalism tells you you should be doing to be successful. And that is what leads to burnout. It's what leads to mental health issues, it stress, um, physical health. Like it creates so many problems because we've all just tangentially agreed to go along with the narrative of capitalism that tells us everything should grow exponentially. Your worth is based on your productivity and how much money that you make. And really, like, the whole point of capitalism is just to get us to be good workers so we can make more money for these fucks like Elon Musk and Bezos. And it's not, it doesn't exist to actually have us question the system. What we should be doing is understanding what our enough is. What is your
Mhm.
enough number? Like, literally, what is enough? This idea that you need to have another house and a bigger house and a garage, and perhaps I feel this way because I've spent so much time in rural Kenya, in rural Africa. Like, I've cycled across the continent one time, so, I've seen a lot. Um, I have more than the global majority. I want someone to come into my small two-bedroom house and tell me that I need a bigger house. You can go
Right.
fuck yourself. For what? To like keep up with the Joneses? What's next? Like another white picket fence? Like, we have in the United States, we have such a skewed perception of success and progress, and we measure it on a very outdated model of GDP and growth. And the GDP grows, everyone, when we're in war. The GDP grows from from the conflict. It grows from a genocide. That supports the growth of a GDP. What if we actually said enough is enough? We're not participating. I'm going to define success on my own terms, and I'm going to put out this podcast because I enjoy speaking to people. And if and the fact that anybody would listen to you, imagine, Taryn. So imagine being in a room and there's 200 people just sitting there listening to you. Would you ever think that was a failure?
Never.
Never. So why would we think that 200 people as an email subscriber, or 200 people following you on social, or 200 people listening to the podcast? By the way, I no idea how many people listen to your podcast, so the 200 is arbitrary. But like, why the thing, like, the things that we do to ourselves in the name of growth and success are literally the same things that kill us and are killing the planet.
Mhm.
Um, and we should be able to, set our own schedules and do things on our own terms. And certainly your boss doesn't want to hear that. Also, your boss can just go spend more time on chat and get whatever answers it's want. And so good luck with that. I have a whole nother rant about that. But um but for me, when I think, so I just wanted to talk about that, like that, like the having enough and
Mhm.
the what's good enough and what we're supposed to do is a narrative that has been created by the very institutions and people that many of us are at odds with. So
Yeah.
why do we go along with it? And when I think about the next thing that I'm building, see, I got back to your
Yeah.
question.
I knew you would. I can
We saw
trust
that
you
coming.
to
Um,
link it all together. I know that. I'm like, "Let's just let Jen go."
When I think about the next thing that I'm building, like, I'm really spending a lot of time thinking about how does it look different than what I've done in the past. So I was chatting with a friend this morning in the industry, saying to her, like, I might not do these heavily designed emails anymore. I might just pop a couple square photos here and there occasionally and otherwise just use words. Now, I know you're not supposed to do that in e-commerce. Also supposed to according to who? All these bros with agencies who use AI to write every single thing they try to talk to us about, and I'm supposed to believe you? Okay. I don't know, right? So like or putting an AI statement on my website. Here's how we use AI. Here's how we don't. Being really upfront about being a solo entrepreneur, about not trying to present what I'm building next as this brand, and it's just me.
Yeah.
It's me and my creative director Slew, and we're working on this thing, and it's really cool, and it's probably always gonna be really small because we're not trying to grow it, a and also that sounds amazing, right? So, I really am evaluating, how I build this next thing, and it might look really different to people. People might be like, "Oh, wow, like, that's not disruptive. Where's all that?" Like, doesn't have to be, you know? So, I just think that there's something to be said for really questioning all the systems that none of us we don't even agree with them. So
Yeah.
what are we doing? But yeah, so the next thing, it's called Far Out. Those of you who have been around the block and remember when we had our store in Reno, it was called Far Out. So why did I choose to name the next thing Far Out? Because I already did all the work on it.
Yeah, okay, so
I
this is
already
I've
spent
been
all the months, not with AI, but with human
Yeah.
beings brainstorming together a name and a logo and a vision and an ethos and like all the incredible amount of time we spent on it. Why would I just throw that away to start something new? Why not pull back into the archives of something that, again, real human beings came up with that perfectly fits what it is that I want to do in this world and do that?
I love it. I've been seeing like the follow suggest or something on my Instagram for Far Out, and I've been like, this is so wild that it's popping up right now because wasn't this Jen's store like in the market, the Reno marketplace thing? And
Mhm.
so I just was like, that's wild, that it's coming up, but maybe that's why because you've been diving back into it or something. Well, maybe not posting, but like showed up there or something, logged in maybe, and so it's
I
like
logged in. I
it
logged in.
revived itself.
I archived every single old post, updated the profile, and then posted a static 3 squares of here's what's coming, and we'll see how much I ever post because I hate social media too.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, Far Out basically brings together the things that I love the most: creativity, connection, community, culture. The it's a will be a marketplace with handcrafted goods where that is sort of one foot dipped in the outdoors, another maybe on the lifestyle things. So I really do believe. See how I'm totally fumbling my pitch right now because I literally don't know who I am or what I'm doing. You can tell that I've not spoken about this a lot. This is my first public podcast. I did do an
Woo!
interview with Powder Magazine where I spoke a little bit to it, but I'm still working on speaking to it. But it's there's a marketplace, group adventure tours, and original artwork with a fourth pillar that will launch in the fall, which is called Fourth Space, and it's all about why we connect with each other, not where.
Mm.
I really believe that in an age where AI is taking over everything, even to the point where like I'm noticing people responding in Slack with AI or in text, and I'm like, you can't fucking think for yourself anymore. Just type what you think. Just say what it is you have to say. Why do you have to run everything through this filter? I find it to be absolutely insane. And so, you know, art is what connects us to our humanity. Creativity is something that AI doesn't have hands to build anything. We are the ones with hands. We are the ones with creative capacity. All that AI is doing is scrubbing the internet for all of our creativity and packaging up it up to us. We are the ones who hold that.
Yeah.
And it's so valuable. It's so valuable to recognize that we possess that, and that creativity and that art is what brings us back to our humanity. And that is fundamentally important in a time where we are facing, again, like these global threats of climate change and war and the reordering of the world, a potential underclass from AI. Let us please come back to our humanity. And I believe that art and creativity and spending time outdoors is like that's the cornerstone to
Uh-huh.
making that happen. And so that's what Far Out is all about. It's about finding your flow. It's about finding your flow in the outdoors. It's about finding your flow in creativity. It's about tapping into that beautiful space. You know that feeling you get on a powder day? That's your flow, right?
Yeah.
That's really what Far Out is based on, and so we'll be working with a lot of indie makers and artists and indie brands, and organizing these incredible experiences around the world, including skiing in Japan, but not to Niseko because we're staying away from these big tourist spots. Cycling in Kenya. I'm working on putting together a ski trip in Georgia, an art retreat in a dark sky area in Idaho, river retreats with music, like all sorts of experiences that are really bringing together art and outdoor experiences and slow travel and cultural immersion. And I'm super excited about that. And I'm just excited to continue to be able to support artists and small brands through the marketplace. And clearly, I will not be shutting my mouth anytime soon. So for the people who loved that about coalition, it will continue. It's just it's going to look a little different than what you're used to. And for people who thought I was too much, well, you're fucking welcome because you're like because of people like me.
You're
And I
still probably gonna be that
yeah,
way to them, and guess what?
yeah.
Then you're not for them.
Yeah, every white woman who thinks I'm too much, I made your life better, bitch. Okay? I made your because I was willing to say the things that you weren't or that nobody else was, and I moved things forward and you got to join along on that. So you are welcome. I am happy to be the person you never wanted to be. I'm happy to do that for you.
I love all of this. I think bringing all of those things together so important for all the reasons you said of like those are something that AI can't take away from us or it can try, but these
Yeah.
are fundamental foundational elements of like what it means to be human.
Mhm.
And I think most listeners out there, have an outdoor connection too. That's why you come to a big reason. I think why most of you come to the podcast. And we need that connection with each other
Mhm.
as well. Like you said, what is one of your pillars with like why it's important to not where, but like how we connect with each other and things.
Yeah.
Um, and it's that is something that is like farther and fewer between is that in-person connection even after COVID because I think it just happens at certain times in a lot of our lives that you get busy with life, whether it's people, starting families or work or whatever it is, right? Or you just get cozy at home. I love my solo time at
Mhm.
home, okay, with my dogs and hanging out, whether I'm just like literally sitting outside on my property, walking around with them, biking alone or something. I just like have really come to enjoy a lot more solo time. But I know how much I do still need, like, time with people and how beneficial it is. But what I'm getting at is just, yeah, for so many reasons, we're spending less time with people, I think, as we get older. It happens. And we have to prioritize it. Again, that's something I'm working on is like really trying to prioritize it and not like fall into the like, well, never mind. Like, oh, it's okay if you cancel. Like, no, like get out there, go see your people, go be with the people that support you, that have similar interests, or also that don't, that are going to show you something new. They're going to push you outside of your comfort zone to try something new. That's kind of where I am right now. Is like, well, I kind of want people who are going to get me out in the world and help me experience some new things because I miss that feeling of, like, kinda being scared. Like, like, trying something new or something scary, and so I wanna find people who are, like, different from me.
Well, it's not just about getting older, this is unique to American culture,
Mm,
right? That rugged individualism is the exact opposite of what you need in the time of crisis. No one gets through crisis by themselves,
mhm,
right? So community is the antidote. And, as an introvert, I don't want to spend lots of time with people every single day. And some people do, and that's great. But the idea of connecting with your community, it can be sending texts, making phone calls, writing letters, showing up to the thing, even if it's for 5 minutes, checking in, dropping a meal off, offering to help watch a kid mow a lawn, fix a car, like all the things that, again, capitalism doesn't want us to have these things because it will mean that those guys make less money. But it's really, really essential that we tap into our relationships and understand that. Uh, connection is necessary, and if and when things get far more difficult here, which is very likely, you will need people in your life. You will need people to exchange seed with, exchange pantry staples with, watch children, care for pets, um
yeah,
again, we take so much for granted in this country. I've spent so much time in Kenya, and you see how people live, and you see how people work with one another, and community is at the center of a lot of these indigenous and traditional cultures because they understood it to be essential to
yes,
livelihood, whereas individualism is essential for manipulation and control.
yeah,
And so, again, like, we've all just sort of bought into it, and
mhm,
it's sort of, like, crashing around us if, anyone's paying attention. Um, and again, I speak from a very pragmatic and also optimist, like, I wouldn't consider myself doom and gloom. I'm just paying attention.
yeah,
Um,
realist is what I think
like,
of it as.
man, I spent 48 years on this planet. I'm just observing. That's
Mhm,
all I'm doing is paying attention to the world around me, having lots of really interesting conversations with people all over the world who have different experiences and putting them all together with my own brain. And, this is what I'm coming up with. But yeah, we really do need one another, and I hope that with this new business that I start far out, that it is a place where people will feel connected, whether it's holding on to that ceramic mug that hands made, and you don't have to worry about, tiny hands in some factory producing something, or you get to go on this epic trip with people who really truly share your values, which is becoming more and more imperative, particularly for our trans and gender fluid friends who do not feel safe in women only spaces and are really in fear of their their lives. I mean, I would say that. So like how do we cultivate these spaces for people who we care about? How do we cultivate these spaces around our values and show up in a way where we understand, well, this isn't for everyone. If you have a fundamental problem with sharing your pronouns so that our non-binary friend feels comfortable, like if that bothers you, go somewhere else. Bye.
yes, yeah,
Why? I don't need the explanation in my email. I don't reply to the email. Just hit unsubscribe. I don't need the DM. Just unfollow, and I fucking triple dog dare you to respond or send the DM. Let's go. Let's go. But just carry on. Go do your own thing.
mhm.
Like I know what I'm here to do and I know who I'm here to support, and that is what I'll be carrying through into far out.
Yes, I love it. I mean, I absolutely to the people like carry on, I get so
Yeah.
worked up sometimes when I see just like arguments on the internet or something. I'm like, you know what I do when I see something like that's not, like fundamentally like wrong or something. Like, I'm not gonna argue with this person about, how to do their Bulgarian split squat, you know? Like, just, like, the people get so mad about the dumbest things, or, like, I'm not gonna if they say that's how they feel, like, I'm not gonna take it to the comments or the DMs to argue with this person. Like, that's not for me. I'm gonna move on with my day, scroll by. I don't know why more people, like, can't do that.
Yeah, no,
And
I think there are times to speak up. Like, certainly
yes.
if there's, if you're looking at what I would call like an injustice, right? Like something
Yeah.
racist or sexist, like anything like that. There is certainly is an opportunity to speak up. Again, not you don't say something because you're trying to change that person's mind. You say something because you want the people who are being attacked to feel supported. That's what you do. That's what you do with your privilege. You
Mhm.
insert yourself into a situation where you can help the person who needs the help feel more supported and feel better and feel safer. It's not because you're trying to change the mind of the troll account Mikey238. You know that like it's a troll account. You're not trying to but you say what needs to be said and for me what we've always, it always did with coalition, we'd say something and if they did it again, you just block them. You
Yeah.
get rid of them so that they're not creating an unsafe space in the community which you're cultivating, which your social media is a community space, whether you want it to be or not. So you must manage your comments.
Mhm.
But that's what we've always done. And people who've taken it to the DMs, I've gotten into it with people. I've said to people like, "I would love to see you say this to my face. Let's go. What are we doing here? You want to come on here and talk this much trash? I know you wouldn't say this if I was standing right in front of you, and that's why you know it's wrong what you're saying because you
Yeah,
would never
exactly.
say it to my face." Um, but
Or
yeah,
at
there's
least you don't truly, like, believe in it enough to be able to stand up and say it out loud.
no. So, but yeah, there's plenty of things. Just to sort of like tie that back to closing coalition and deciding to not be a part of the snow sports industry, there are so many things worth fighting for.
Mhm.
So many things. And fighting for a space in the snow sports industry is rooted in nothing but ego. There is that snow sports doesn't need me. The work that I do and the things that I advocate for um ideally will have more reach and more impact by leaving such a niche small industry. And while I've made the greatest friends in the last 12 years, you included,
Thank
we
you.
probably our paths may not have crossed if it wasn't for coalition, and my closest friends I've met through the brand, and I've had incredible experiences. There's so much to celebrate, which is like why I am. Like, I'm not over here like, "Oh, I'm gutted, cry me a river." I'm like, "Look at all the amazing things we did. I'm super proud." Um, but it's just, there is so much work still to be done, and we were all so committed to it just a few years ago, and then, oops, fell out of fashion. Don't wanna be not sure if I should say that anymore, and now's the time to be more outspoken than we were then
Right.
because people really need us, and we need to be outspoken. We need to be voting. We need to be doing all the things, calling our reps and our senators, and we need to be really thoughtful about where we spend our money, both where we do spend it and where we don't. We need to be thoughtful about how we spend our time, the people who we spend our time with, and it's essential. Like this country is changing, the world is changing. We have to decide where we want to be
Mhm.
in that change. Like where do we want to be on the other side of this? Um, and people will have different opinions about that, but I know where I wanna be, and I'm gonna make sure that I'm doing the things to be there so that next time I'm faced with my mortality, I again have no regrets.
Yes, I love that, and I mean, we've touched so many things here that I feel just, like, hit so hard and home for so many people with, like, what is happening in the world right now or their own lives, and it just helps so much to, I feel like, have somebody say some of these things out loud too to give them, like, this, you know permission, like I said, to either, like, let some things go or to feel like they're not alone in what's going on in their mind and the struggles that they've had with what steps to take or in so many different ways. Even just what you said about, like, social media and in the comments of, like, you're not trying to shut down that account, but stand up for the people that feel unsafe. And I think even just simply thinking about that when you go to leave a message somewhere is like super helpful. It was for me. And I think it just all in all, like really, again, another word I don't really like to come back to a lot, but like reframing, like rethinking of how what our first initial thought might be on some of these things. Like dive a little bit deeper into the root, the whys, and what could be next so that you can kind of feel confident in your decisions and not have the regrets in them, and know that you're still gonna do hard things. It's still gonna be hard, whatever happens next, if you're leaving something, quitting something, moving on, like, it is not the easy choice to make, and it doesn't mean the next thing's gonna be any easier, and I mean, thank you, as always, for being just so open with, like, real time, real life things that you're going through, um, even to work like, you don't have your pitch, right? And you're just like, "Okay, this is what I got." I think that's how it comes to be, you know? Just start spewing shit out loud, and you get it out, and then eventually it will work itself out there. You gotta untangle the knot that it might be, but you've got pillars, you've got the values, you've got the things that it stands for, and it's just,
I have an Instagram account, I have a website, I have all the things people can go check out because 'cause I'm sure you'll put it in the show
oh,
notes.
yeah, definitely.
It's there, and who knows, maybe by the time you release this, I might actually have it might be more than a landing page. No one knows because I can only do what I can do,
Yep.
and you know, have to take care of myself. So the arbitrary schedule that I made or deadline I set for myself, I may not follow through with if it impedes my health. So
Yeah.
we will see how long it takes me to get this actually live, but working on it.
Well, you gotta be healthy to maintain anything, to put anything out there, so it's like, and yeah, what's the point of doing all this work and effort for something if you're not gonna be able to see it or to, like, put it even out there to make it go live, right? So you gotta put yourself first, you gotta take care of yourself, you gotta listen to your fucking therapist, Jen.
You when she said that, I was like, "I hear you. Thank you very much. I do need to be spoken to like that, and
Yes, you're
I
speaking my language now.
understand what you're saying. I got you. Okay." Like, okay.
I love that.
But yeah, lots of conversations and lots of reflection that I wish it didn't require a cancer diagnosis to go through,
Uh-huh.
which is why I'm so open to sharing this and being so transparent is that it's a shame that it took something so traumatic as a cancer diagnosis for me to see things in this way. And I hope that by sharing my story that it would help other people without having to go through that trauma.
Yeah.
Right. So,
Exactly. And, again, sharing, with what is happening right now, I to just go back really quick on that is I also, didn't know what it might look like after, a round of chemo or radiation or surgery and whatnot, like how intense the aftermath might be. And it's not just like still having cancer or being in remission. There's a big gray area of what that looks like, and, it
and
helps me
different for
understanding a lot more. I have a really good friend who, lives across the country now who just was diagnosed and just had surgery and is starting her chemo and radiation probably, I think, either last week or this week, and you don't know what you don't know, and so it can just help us relate to people who are going through this to be there, or, if God forbid something happens to anyone listening, you know what to expect a little bit more.
Mhm. Absolutely. Yeah, well, I
Um,
just anybody feel free, like, people can reach out and find me if you wanna chat. I encourage you to check out Let's Get Far Out. That's the URL and the Instagram account. Lots of fun stuff that I'm working on that I'm super excited about and always open to having really honest, transparent conversations. So
I love that about you. That's why you're one of my favorite to listen to and follow. And like I said, I don't know how it took me so long to get you on for a full episode, but I'm glad you're here today and able to share
Thank
everything.
you.
And for people to find Far Out, is it just Far Out, like on Instagram and farout.com or?
It's Let's Get Far Out.
Okay, awesome.
Get Far
Yeah.
Out.
Well,
Mhm.
like you said, that will be in the show notes for sure, everybody. And thank you all out there for listening. Thank you again 1 million times, Jen, for sharing it all. Follow Far Out. Go check everything out. Stay tuned for what is to come of it, what's going to be, I'm sure, continuously launching over months as it evolves and changes. And yeah, thanks again, everyone, whose ears I have, and we'll talk to you all next week.